the story of why you repackaged?
Just getting more focus in the men's market. You know, something a little bit more representative of who I am, and something that's more legible. I felt that it's just sort of where the brand was going.
And kind of describe the packaging and how you think that speaks to men.
Well, the color palette, going into the browns and the blacks and the whites and sort of simplifying things. I always like the contrast with matte and shiny and uptown and downtown, work and play. So if you look really closely on some of the packaging, we weren't able to capture that the first time around. There's a lot of mix of color and play that ended up becoming a bit confusing. And this time around, you'll see that there are matte and shiny things. There are little contrasts that I feel like celebrating in packaging.
So how is simplifying the packaging helping to get your word out to men?
Well, if you look,
why are they different than how are they different than women?
How are men different? Primarily, fragrance has a lot to do with drawing them in, and when you make a product that's specifically for a guy, they like that. They like to know that this is meant for them. And if the women want to borrow it, when they're not looking, then that's fine too. But guys have always taken from the women in the past, and so this is something that I think when guys are reaching into the salons or the barber shops for a product, they like to know that this was sort of thought out. In this case, from a guy that's been doing it for a long time, and it's specifically for them.
Now, in your own salon, you're about 50% women, 50% men?
Yep.
Is that right?
Which is a big number for me. I mean, normally in a salon of that caliber, the men aren't there in those numbers. So to be doing 50% men, and coming from where I came from, women are still a big part of that.
I do think, though, people are recognizing men now as a growth opportunity for salons. And how, in a traditional salon, if men hasn't been your focus, how do you draw them in and start making them feel comfortable? Where do you start?
Well, we get asked that a lot, and to answer your first question, it's never been more okay for guys to care about all this stuff. I mean, everybody wants to look good, right? And everybody cares about it. And there was a stigma attached to it for a while when a guy sought out special things, and it doesn't exist anymore. And that's a very exciting thing for me because I've seen it through all the years that I've been working with men. The second part of the question was,
how do you draw them in?
How do you draw them
feel comfortable?
So when we're out and we're talking with salons and doing education, that comes up. How to get my price point up, and how do we get more men in the salon? In most places that we've frequented in the past, it could be a car dealership, it could be a brewery or a local chef who came up with something, and creating these evenings for men where they can show off their goods and you can provide a place for them to do that, or vice versa. But these relationships in these towns, bringing men in, I think is a really good way to kind of show them that it's okay to be in here. We've got all this great stuff. And more salons now are divvying up little spaces or areas that are sort of curated to the guys, whether it's a retail area or whether it's a place where they're actually getting the services done, maybe the shampoo area. But yeah, they're thinking about that a little bit more.
So you're talking about these events, kind of like a men's evening where you
it could be a DJ, it could have a sports thing going on. Again, it could be some sort of car dealership in the area that's promoting something, and you want to bring them in and show your clientele off to them, and vice versa. But these relationships, and we did this at Mizu in New York, where it could be a concierge service from the hotels, it could be a Mercedes-Benz down the street, it could be a philanthropy thing with a hospital that had something to do with cancer or pediatrics or whatever. And when you provide the space for free to have an evening like that, and come up with an agreement on some flowers or cleaning or whatever, it's really great for both parties to come together. And sometimes people will come in that have lived in town and go, I didn't know this was here, I didn't know you had this, I certainly didn't know it was okay to get a haircut here, I always thought this was more of a salon, and so that's one way, that's an easy way to think about, because there's guys in every town. So where are they going, what are they doing, beauty or not, barbering, hairdressing or not, like they're doing things, they're in town. How do I get them? How do I capture them and bring them in here? Provide a space for them to, maybe it's an art thing.
Now, I know a big part of Luxury Brand Partners, who V76 is a part of, a big part of their philosophy is to try to create an opportunity for stylists to get paid what they're really worth. So how do you create a service for men that you elevate that price point?
Little things. What we focused on are could start, first of all, you got consultation. Take it seriously and get to know. Or even if it's somebody that comes in regularly, you know, what happened the last 4 to 6 weeks? How did it grow up? Were you happy? The shampoo should be an experience. Maybe it's an aromatherapy. Maybe it's a hot towel that goes beyond the shampoo. Taking something as simple as a neck strip, a sanitary neck strip, and wrapping it around somebody's neck that you've been cutting for years and you've never done that, just all of a sudden there's a seriousness attached to it. Finishing with a powder, finishing with ear hair, nose hair, eyebrows, all of these little things when you look at grooming a guy that can elevate the service can add that experience to such much more of a rich place for guys that aren't getting those answers someplace else.
They have a question?
Where do you see men's color service headed?
Where's men's color going?
Mm-hmm.
And when I ask this, when we do education, I'll say, should men color their hair? And it's funny because of all the stylists, half the room says yes, and the other half says no. So I think you have to be more specific on whether guys should color their gray hair, or should guys be getting highlights, should guys be enhancing their reds. So then it gets a little bit more specific. But I think it's hard to generally answer that question and say men should not color their hair. Some men gray beautifully, and they want that. You know, they've earned it. And other guys could be in the spotlight, could be performers or whatever, and they've got their color formulations down, and they're going to look better and stronger and more confident with coloring their hair. So it really depends, that particular question, on who the guy is.
Are men, when you're talking about color, is that a more sensitive thing in the salon?
Sure.
Do they create an area that's maybe a little more private, or do it in a way that's they're
guys,
not on stage getting their hair colored? Like women don't mind being in oils looking in a mirror.
That's right. And you can look at a woman and say, well, she needs color, or she just got extensions, or she's got Botox, right? Yeah. When you're dealing with a guy and it's exposed that he has a toupee on, or he's had hair restoration done, he's coloring his hair, he's had some facial work done, and it's obvious, the backlash is twice as hard. Guys want all these things. They don't want to age any more than a woman does. They want to look great, but they don't want anybody knowing.
They want to do it privately.
They don't want anybody knowing about this. Is all natural, what you see right now. Whether they're going gray or they're coloring it, they don't want it to be obvious. That's the difference between looking at a guy and going, what is he doing? Versus looking at a woman and saying, oh, she needs some color.
Now, were there new products that came out with the repackaging?
We did. We came out with a tonic, a very scalp invigorating tonic that's great for thinning hair, some scalp issues. We also came out with the cream formulation of our shave cream. So not the aerosol foam, we still have that, award-winning, but we took that formulation and we put it into a cream tube too. And those are the two that just entered this whole new packaging, repackaging.
So talk about the shave and the grooming part of the men's business. How do you...
Well, more guys are, they're growing their beards out, so they're shaving parts of their face.
And then they have to maintain that hair.
It, yep. So there are conditioning things. There's certain hair products that transfer into the beard. We've got a beard oil that you can shave with. It's like a shaving oil, but you can also soften the beard and use that in the beard. But shaving, as big as beards are now, right? Someday they're going to go, and that clean face and that healthy, almost spaceman kind of thing, I see it happening already, right? As the shaved sides of the guy's hair for the last several years was super popular, you're seeing guys getting a little more length, hair starting to fall forward instead of everything going up. And that's what we do, we evolve. There's a constant evolution in fashion and beauty, and sometimes you have to be aware of these trends, but not a slave to them, because there's always going to be something sort of coming a little bit later around the bend.
When you're looking at trends, what do you study?
Whether the trend is wearing them or they're wearing the trend, whether it's believable. And I stand for that. When we teach and we do things as extreme as a haircut can be, you want the man to get up and be wearing it. You don't want it to be wearing him. And you know what I mean when you see guys in certain, they'll have an allegiance to a designer and they're head to toe that designer, and you're looking like, there was no thought put into it. It's almost like the brand is wearing them. They haven't figured it out and comfortably wearing the brand. So that's important for us, that it has to be real and believable and current, but they have to be wearing it.
Who inspires you?
Wow. That one always gets me. Mostly music, primarily, inspires me. It makes me, the streets of New York, you know, luckily I'm living there, so I see a lot of stuff, again, which shock me and look ridiculous, or, you know, somebody might be doing something and they're a construction worker, but their hair is just, the shape of it and how it grew out is, you get to see a lot of this stuff. You're in close proximity to a lot of people. But music is usually a place where...
You have a background.
I do have a background in music, and that's just a canvas where people really push the limits. You know, today Lady Gaga, in the past David Johansen, Wearing Women's Clothes. David Bowie certainly had a huge impact on me, but fashion often plays into that, and they really push things that gain your attention.
Thank you so much.
My
Thank you for
pleasure.